Women have emotions. Men cause emotions. And, of course, fix things. Cars, toasters, loved ones, it makes no difference. We inherently believe we can fix it. I know I get that from my father. I think most men get their behavior patterns from their fathers. My dad was a great guy. An Irish immigrant, a real World War II, John Wayne, Ted Williams kind of guy. A perfect example. It's my brother's 10th birthday. We're in the kitchen, singing happy birthday while my dad is making something in the garage. A bookshelf, a spice rack, a dog, something. Anyway, he's using a circular saw, and as we're finishing our cake, we hear the saw jar to a stop. My dad comes waltzing in, his thumb hanging off at the bone. Honey, now don't panic. My mother snapped. She started screaming about the hospital and emergencies and calling 911, but my father wouldn't have it. Get this. He taped up his thumb with black electrical tape and drove himself, minus one thumb, to the hospital. He was humming as he taped it up in front of us. All fixed. It is natural for men to take on the behavior patterns of their fathers. However, often it is the side of him which he never wanted us to see that is the characteristic we truly want to emulate. No Cure for Cancer, by Dennis Leary. I have a son who's 18 months old now. He was born 3 months premature. 2 pounds when he was born. About the size of my hand. Tiny. Every day, I would go to the hospital and sit next to the machine he was in, this techno bed, and pray. Please, God, let him be better. Please. And he does. He's home for about a month when we take him back for a checkup. Doctor looks him over and says he's A-okay. He's gonna be fine. And as soon as I heard those words, it was like a macho button snapped back on in my head. And I was transformed. Of course he's gonna be fine. He's my son. Certainly nothing to worry about. Certainly nothing to cry about. I've still got my thumb after all. My dad was a tough act to follow. He was in Vietnam. Couldn't even talk about it. Not that he talked about it much. Tough guy. Real man. No need to talk about feelings. But I did see him cry once. He doesn't know I caught him, but I saw him. Tears welled up in the corners of his eyes, but then, as if through some sort of sixth sense, he knew someone was there. So, he choked him back, coughed, and was done. My mother had just lost a child. Would have been my sister. Hell, I was only 8. I cried like a little girl, but Dad? Just a trace. He was a man. Growing up, we were taught to be a man. Be a man, Dennis. Keep it inside. Be a man. Hey, ho, ho. That was my dad. You see, 2 days after his 60th birthday, he's in a pub in the southwestern part of Ireland. The most beautiful part. His hometown. He's out drinking with a couple of his brothers and sisters. Lights up a cigarette. Smiles. And bang. He was dead before he hit the floor. That'll pop you, little macho balloon. When the guy you think is always gonna be there, the John Wayne, Ted Williams guy, is dead. In a millisecond. In a sliver of time, so small it cannot even be measured. I mean, how long does it really take to fall from standing onto the floor? And where in that little window of time do you actually leave this earth? I mean, one second you're an Irish immigrant, and the next, you're face to face with God. My Aunt Margaret said we should thank God he dies in Ireland. Now everyone who knew him would get a chance to say goodbye. All the Irish who moved to America. We had to add a day to the wake there. There were lines a full block long, for hours at a time. People we never even knew coming to pay their respects. An old woman who said my father had been fixing her car for years without charging her because her husband had died and she had no money. A woman my age who said her car broke down in a blizzard and no one would stop. But after 2 hours, my father pulled over, fixed her car, and followed her home to make sure she got there safely. And as we were leaving this church to go to the cemetery, this man who sold newspapers at the end of our block growing up, this bent-up, old, ink-stained little man, stood on the sidewalk and saluted the couple. With tears in his eyes, he said, my father had always been so nice to him. My Aunt Margaret said it reminded her of President Kennedy, but I didn't cry. I held it in. Growing up, we couldn't afford home movies. We got a slide projector in 1968 and thought that catapulted us straight into the middle class. A slide projector? Wow. We watched all those slides the night we got the news, but to this day, never once watched the videos I made of my father in the 80s. Because I know if I see him walking and talking, there's going to be crying like you've never seen before. There's going to be a crying festival at my apartment. People coming in from other countries, but no. I did the macho thing and sucked it up. I did the Irish macho thing and held it all in. You see, most people think life sucks and then you die. Not me. I beg to differ. I think life sucks, then you get cancer, and your dog dies, your wife leaves you, the cancer goes into remission, you get a new dog, get remarried, you owe $10 million in medical bills, but you work hard for 35 years to pay it all back, and then, one day, you step off the curb at 67th Street and get hit by the city bus. Then, you die. Maybe. Look, the point is that you must accelerate. Lust, laugh, live every day as if it was your last. Go ahead, go shopping, buy whatever you want. A Ming vase, chocolate furniture, the bones of Elvis Presley. Go ahead and load up your credit card. Fly to Rome just to give the finger to the Pope. Just live.